KG is looking for compensation from those who used his idea for commercial purposes. Warner Music is demanding licensing fees for the unauthorized use of his music in their videos. German government entities are also among those who've made free use of the song. The move has raised concerns that people who use the Jerusalema song now owe royalties to this record company. What constitutes fair use on the part of the users, and how do the artists themselves ensure they receive acknowledgement and compensation from those who make free use of their work? Let's unpack all of this for you and bring in entertainment lawyer representing Master KG, Dumisani Mutsamaye, who joins us now via our video link. Dumisani, thanks for making time. It's great to have you on the program. Let's start with the context, right? What does the law say in its current form about when you can use someone else's song for your own content?
Anna, thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and thank you to your greetings to your viewers as well. Well, the legal position governing this particular matter, Ayanda, it's covered in the Copyright Act, and the South African Copyright Act is a mirror image of a number of other copyright acts that are in place all over the world. And what the Copyright Act basically provide for is two types of copyrights that are involved in this particular instance. And the first is the copyright in the composition, and the second is the copyright in the sound recording, which is what we call the master right. So in this particular instance, the law is very clear. If you are to use a song at the background and in a moving picture, you are effectively doing what we call a synchronization. In other words, the song is being synchronized into the moving picture. And in that particular instance, definitely what we call a synchronization license is triggered, and the synchronization royalties then become triggered. And I like the way that you introduced this particular subject, because there is quite a bit of furor around this. People don't understand that what is it really that our partners, Warner internationally, and of course Open Mic in South Africa, in the Sub-Sahara region in particular, are looking at. We are not necessarily focused on the social challenges that people were doing in their social setup. Those are well and fine. Our focus really is more on the corporate that took it a little bit too far and used the challenge as more than just a social activity, but an ad, really. The song was there, the song was used, but it was not so much about the song. It was more about their brand. So they commercialized the song, so to say. In other words, they endorsed their brand. They used the song and the challenge to endorse their brand. And if you take a trip down YouTube and have a look at the challenges, it's not very difficult to pick those.
Interesting you say that, because I was going to ask who gets to decide how far too far is. But let's firstly acknowledge what you just said, which is pretty important. So ordinary South Africans who are part of the Jerusalema challenge need not worry. People who are colleagues, I remember a whole lot of nurses and firefighters being involved. This is not necessarily targeted at them. It's at established companies who potentially could benefit commercially from actually using the song.
Yeah, so it's companies that took advantage of the challenge, took advantage of the song to basically put their brands out there and taking comfort of the fact that the president had called on us to take on the challenge. And as I say, it's not very difficult to see them, those companies. Of course, in some instances, the line is a little bit blurred, but there are those really who where the song, if you look at their clips, where their song is just by the way. They went out of their way to make sure that the company, what they do, and what they were about. And the song, of course, was there, but it was not so much about the song. It was their brand.
Interesting. Do you have an idea how many companies are responsible for this? Companies that could potentially be found guilty? And as you answer that, give us the idea of the scale of amount of money that could then be liable to Master KG in the form of royalties.
Well, I think maybe let's first correct it's not so much about guilt, so to say. Yeah. And I think I must acknowledge that this is an area of the law that, it's not necessarily known to many. In other words, it's not a subject that many are familiar with, and it may well be that there may have been entities that did this totally innocent, and I'm talking here entities that did exactly what I said they did, but they were totally innocent, oblivious of the fact that there is now income, there is licensing income that is triggered in that instant. So what we've decided is to approach it from a point of view of saying, guys, you may have not known that you are triggering royalties by so doing, but come, let's talk. This is what we are looking at. This is what our expectations are, and then we take it from there. So I thought it's important for me to clarify that, because we are not doing this really in an adversarial and a manner or approach. It's a question of saying Master KG and Nomkebo are artists who are signed to Open Mic, and as a result of that, where their sound recording has been used in a synchronization, it's only fair that Open Mic is paid so that they can in turn pay royalties to Master KG and Nomkebo in terms of the current artist agreement that is in place between Open Mic and Nomkebo. To answer your question about the scale, it's a little bit difficult to say. Remember what I said at the beginning. This entails two sides of license. The first side is a license for the master, which is the sound recording. The second aspect is license for the composition, because there's two copyrights entailed here. There's a copyright in the composition, which vests with the writers and the composers of the song, which in this case coincidentally becomes Master KG and Nomkebo. But there's also the copyright that vests with the owners of the master, which in this case becomes ourselves as Open Mic. And in that particular instance, therefore, it will have to be a function of those two sides, and the calculation will have to take into account what needs to be paid per side, so to say. So I may not be able to give you a ball figure, quite a specific figure now, but I think I've given you a guidance as to how we'll go about calculating. And obviously, there will be there's a pair of issues that will come into play as to where maybe the challenge was flighted, was social media only, did other people take it a little bit forward and it became flighted on TV, commercial TVs? There'll be a lot of issues involved, so it won't necessarily be a one shoe fit all. And to answer your last question, we're still carrying out an exercise. And the interesting thing, and is that the story with the police in Germany sort of created the impression that only now we're doing this. I can tell you now that our partners in Warner International have actually been licensing for these challenges for quite a while. It's just that only now it became apparent because of the police in Germany. And also in South Africa, we have been reviewing quite a number of these challenges. And we do already have an idea of corporates that we will be politely approaching to say, guys, in your case, we think we should sit down and talk synchronization license.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about that, because my understanding is that those police in Germany you're referring to actually have settled a claim. But my understanding is that this is for corporations that can make money from using the song, either during the licensing for the master or for the composition, as you've just explained. How did the police in Germany become embroiled in this, for lack of a better term? Because I can't imagine a situation where they make money as a police department out of this.
Yes. The story with the police in Germany is actually quite interesting. And I'm not sure that the media reporting has been quite accurate, because coincidentally, it was actually the other way around. It was the police that got to know that there's licensing royalties payable for this, and that they need to do that. And they actually approached Warner International about it. And so it was actually not necessarily a case of them being pursued per se. It was actually the other way around. They came up, and as they came up, and then, as I say, negotiation ensued and settlement as to the license fee was finally entered into.
All incredibly very interesting. Thanks so much for your indulgence and for explaining these things to us mere mortals. I really appreciate you coming on. Dumisani Mutsamai is an entertainment lawyer, also happens to be representing Master KG as he looks to try and get royalties for the use of his song from some companies who stand to benefit commercially from using his track. That track, of course, is the Jerusalema song.